morning, WFG. My name is Michael Coleman. I come from the great and free state of Florida. I'm happy to be with you guys today and talk to you a little bit about showing up. I've got some great stories to tell you and want to give you a little bit about my background. And man, I look at what we've come through and the great distances that we've traveled over the last 2 decades to arrive where we are. And I got to tell you, for the newest person in this room, you guys are in for an absolute rocket ride. You are at the greatest company at the greatest time. I'm very, very excited for you. I always forget the social media stuff, so I'm gonna throw that up there quick, okay? But I tell you, I was born in a little island called Guam. I know they have all the languages, Spanish and Hindi and Mandarin. I don't think that Chamorro is gonna be on that list that Home Office is gonna be putting together anytime soon, or Samoan, right? But that's where I was born. That's me and my pops, 1 year old in Guam. Then I was raised in Seattle. Look at that new wave hairdo California guy, right? Grew up in California. Wound up going into music. So people go, hey, does this guy have a financial education? And, did he go to school for, for finances and investing? No, that was me at the Whiskey A Go-Go in 1998. Playing some show. It was a really, really fun time. I found the old video. I might put it online one of these days. Then I wound up getting in the technology sector and then wound up moving into a career in marketing, which is what I was doing right before I came to World Financial Group. And I was beat up from the feet up. I don't know if you guys ever had a job where you felt like you were overworked, underpaid, and underappreciated. So here I am, I'm making 6 figures, but I'm also working about 100 hours a week. And all of a sudden I feel like, my dreams are starting to die. And then I felt like, man, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to make my dreams come true. And we had some pretty great, clients, Warner Brothers, Speedo, Autry, all these different companies and stuff like that. But then I got invited to a meeting and I met these crazy people. Jamie and Sean Villalobos, Jeff Levitan, Greg Kapp, John Shin, Ed Milet. And I want to tell you something, this is important, because do we all have tough times? Sure we do. But I remember at one of the times where I was just like, man, what am I doing? I don't feel like I'm making any headway towards my goals and dreams. And we were doing pretty good. And it was just something internal to me that I felt like, man, I'm just a little bummed out. And we had all this growth that was happening and people were going. And even though you may have a lot of growth, inside you might be going, man, I have a little bit of doubt. And then I ran into Ed Milet. And I want you to hear what he told me just literally in passing. It was not more than a minute or two that we had to talk. And this changed my life and filled my sails all the way up until to this day. And I want you to borrow what Ed told me face to face this one day at my lowest point. He looked at me and he says, Coleman, he goes, you're $1 million guy and everyone knows it except for you. And my thought was like, are you serious? And he goes, yes. And that moment, all I did is Ed gave me a simple reminder to remember who I really am. I give that gift to you. Remember who you really are. All right? So I met these crazy guys and they sold me a dream, right? And they told me, they said, show up, don't quit. If you stay longer than everyone else, you become the leader by default. But you get better and improve. I gotta tip my hat to Rob Day, because he's the first person that ever said that. Those words for 2 decades have rung in my ears, okay? Show up anyway. This was at the top of the Transamerica building with Rich Stolley. Right there in the front row is Zoe Abbott, right? One of our great teammates here, right? And she says, I don't want to sit in the front. I said, why not? She goes, because I forgot my pants. She says, I'm wearing my pajamas. I don't want to sit in front of Rich Stolley at the top of the Transamerica building in my pajamas. And I said, you're going to go do it. And she did it. Why? Because she shows up. And she wins like a champion, sweeping all the awards, creating great leaders. Next one, cash. Cash rest on. Tell you about this guy. Let me tell you about this guy. He calls me up. He goes, Coleman, he had no license. He had not made any money in 3 years. Can you imagine that? He had no licenses. He calls me. I said, Coleman, I'm on the freeway. And I said, what happened, Cash? He goes, I ran over a ladder and blew out all 4 tires. And who does that? I'm like, this is like you hear this in a story, right? And I said, Cash, stand by. I'm sending someone. And I find out where he is, and my mom is there. I go, Mom, go get Cash. He needs to be here. And he arrives, and he knocks it out of the park. Had tons of guests there, but he shows up anyway, right? And you just keep showing up. This is one of the things. Stop waiting for people. Your biggest enemy is starting and stopping. I see so many people, they get a little bit of momentum and then they pull back. They get things going and then they feel like they can sit and be comfortable. I love this sign I saw at Universal Studios. Notice, idling for longer than 5 minutes is prohibited. Don't lose momentum. Take a picture of this quick because I gotta wrap this up. Okay, 10 positive somethings. A contact with a positive outcome, Zoom meeting, recruit, an app with a needs analysis, or appointment with a needs analysis, an application or a new client, referrals, a paycheck, new license, promotion on team, or registration to the next big event. If you have 2 of these things happening in your business every day, you're winning. What happens, you have big gaps where you're not doing that. And I gotta tell you, these are the disciplines that I learned to show up, and I needed to show up. You know why? Because I'm about to be a new dad. It's a girl. Man, I'm gonna roll up my sleeves and go to work, baby. I love my wife. We are so excited to be new parents. That's my sweetheart, Heather, right there. And I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna learn a real quick word. I want you to repeat after me and then I'll finish with a story. Sprezzatura. Say it again, sprezzatura. Okay, have you ever had a goal of learning to speak Italian? Your goal has just been fulfilled. The art of making things look easy. Graceful living, performance without apparent effort. You guys make this look too hard. You need to start having some grace and being a great receiver. And I'll finish with this. This is my dad. The greatest gift that WFG gave me is that when he got fired from his job in 2009, he came to work for me for 4 years full time. I got to see him every day. We talk about getting time back with our families. To get that 4 years, I never would have had that if I stayed in advertising. And so I'll just tell you, that's the greatest gift that WFG gave to me, is the time with my dad and being able to spend time and build my family. I love you guys. I appreciate you. We'll see you at the top.